Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today we have an old brand on the cask. It was founded 1872 and it's called the Yellowstone. Yes, just like the Yellowstone National Park. But it was discontinued at some point and now they recovered it and it's back again. The brand had its peak in the 1960s, so some of you very old folk out there might know this brand. I don't. I have never tasted any of the Yellowstone, the old ones. And yeah, it's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and they say hand selected. And it's from the Limestone Branch Distillery, which was founded in 2010. Unfortunately, when I visited the distillery in 2015, the Kentucky in 2015, I've never been to this distillery before. And guess what? How the master distillers or the president and distiller is called? He has the surname Beam. So we know which family he comes from. There are tons of Beam distilleries in Kentucky. They actually are committed to the Yellowstone National Park in some way. And so I guess they give some money or are engaged in some other way with the Yellowstone National Park. It was a very beautiful one. I've been there when I was a really small child. They say it's a mixture between 4 to 7 year old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskeys, so maybe it's a bit of a more hefty one. If you're looking at the color, it's a pretty dark one, so it should be a bit of older whiskey. And it's a 46.5% ABV. That's what is that? 93 proof. So it's quite a hefty one. And it will probably be one of these typical bourbons. Or not. So it is a bourbon, right? You do find the typical bourbon notes in there, but you do realize it's a bit of a spicy one. There's a lot of rye notes in there, so I would estimate at least over 10% rye in that mash bill. There is a lot of corn in there, otherwise you couldn't call it bourbon, so at least half of it is corn. But from what I see is you have that spiciness, that pine note in there, a bit of a citrus note in there, here and there a few fruits, and pretty oaky. So there's a lot of oak in that whiskey. A lot of oak. The taste is also really, really oaky, and it's really, really strong. This is not strong from the alcohol. This alcohol has a bit of a touch in it, but from the intensity of the oak cask. So I would rather say there are more of the 7-year-olds in there rather than the 4-year-olds. It doesn't taste like a 4-year-old. Tastes more like an 8-year-old fresh cask. It's a hefty, forward, spicy, oaky bourbon whiskey. So if I would have it in a blind tasting, I'm not sure if I would classify it as a bourbon, because it's just so spicy and intense. With a lot of rye. If I would estimate it, I would estimate it at about a quarter rye, 25%, something like that, because it's just that strong. And it's not one of these very cheap ones. Not quite sure how the old one was, but this is now a bit more premium priced. But you do get a lot of stuff for that product. It could dilute it a bit because it's just that strong. Probably if you don't dilute it a lot, but if you just add a few drops of water, it might even get a bit stronger because the dilution levels change and then you release more flavors, and then it becomes even more hefty than it is right now. If you have ever tried the old Yellowstone whiskey back from the 60s, 70s, I don't know when it was discontinued, then please feel free to write in the comments. It would really interest me how the old one was tasting. Was it also one of these strong bourbons with a lot of rye in the mash bill, or was it one of the more typical sweet popcorn style bourbon whiskeys? Hopefully write something in the comment. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.